In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
But I do ask every publisher, every editor, and every newsman in the nation to re-examine his own standards and to recognize the nature of our country's peril. In time of war, the government and the press have customarily joined in an effort based largely on self-discipline to prevent unauthorized disclosures to the enemy. In times of clear and present danger, the courts have held that even the privileged rights of the First Amendment must yield to the public's need for national security. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger. And yet no war has been declared. No borders have been crossed by marching troops. No missiles have been fired. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war before it imposes the self-discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war ever posed a greater threat to our security. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent.
It's time to recognize that we've come to a turning point. We're threatened with an economic calamity of tremendous proportions, and the old business-as-usual treatment can't save us. Together, we must chart a different course. We must increase productivity. That means making it possible for industry to modernize and make use of the technology which we ourselves invented. That means putting Americans back to work, and that means, above all, bringing government spending back within government revenues, which is the only way, together with increased productivity, that we can reduce and, yes, eliminate inflation.
The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
Yeah, hello. Welcome back to Inform America. My name is Rich Merrett, your host, and today is May 6th, 2020. Real quick, I just wanted to mention, check out the Boston Broadside newspaper. Help them become the newspaper of New England. I'm not associated or connected or related to any of them. I just think they're a good newspaper that needs our support. Check out nationallibertyalliance.org. You can learn a tremendous amount from the courses that they have on their website, and also get involved in helping them, either with your time or financially, whatever you can afford to do. Thirdly, I'd like to ask you to check out my book, Stand Your Ground. It's a book I'm proud of. Started the Mass Correction Officers Federated Union 30 years ago. I wrote in detail about how it happened, that's all. And if anybody would like to do it, there'll be a flyer put up. Underneath the picture in that flyer is a link. Click on that link and you can order the book, and I'll autograph it for you, or you can buy it on Kindle Books on Amazon. With that, I'll move on to the show. First thing I would like to say is, I'll get this out of the way. I want to make a pledge to people. I pledge to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And the reason I'm even mentioning that is because I see so much on the internet and TV that's untrue. It's very confusing. And what I'm going to present to you today is 100% factual. There's not one iota of mistruth in it, unless I misspeak like I did when I said President Trump's been in office for 30 years. I meant to say 3. That's just a senior moment. Anyway, let me move on here. We can put up the Thomas Jefferson quote. that's what this, basically what this is about. Thomas Jefferson said 220 years ago, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Well, the reason we're losing our freedom in America today is because we are ignorant, all of us. And it's time to stop it. If you stop the ignorance, you'll regain your freedom. That's just a simple statement of fact. With that, I'll move on because I want to say something. Bear with me because this is all going to be brought around too. The state constitution in New Hampshire, and it's similar in all the other states, different time. In New Hampshire, it was ratified on October 31st, 1783 by the people. Once the people ratified the Constitution, they made the Constitution the law. The people became the sovereign class of people in the state of New Hampshire. They make the law. It's really, really simple. The legislature doesn't. The people do. Now, if you doubt me, let me just say, go to Article 100 of the state constitution, and it's similar in other states, where it says the only way to amend or change the Constitution, aka the law, is to be have a constitutional convention, and it can be changed there, or a referendum is placed before the people at the ballot box in the regular November election. That's it. The legislature can't, under any circumstances, change the law. That's what the law says. That's not what I say. That's what the law says. That's under Article 100. Now, if you go, and I hope you can follow me because I'm going to shoot right through these. Article 5, Part 2nd of the state constitution. Article 5 is the powers of the general court. It says in there, and I want to be very clear about this so everybody understands, we gave and granted, oh, by the way, it says full power was given and granted. It was given and granted by the people to the government. They're the sovereign class of people. They're the boss. The governments are public servants. If you can't accept that, or you can't relate to it because you think you're a slave, then be a slave. I'm just telling you what the language says. The language says they can make orders, laws, statutes, ordinances, directions, and instructions for the welfare and benefit of the state. Welfare and benefit of the state. The state means the government. It doesn't mean the people. If they wanted it to mean people, okay, they would have said that. They would have said the people of the state. But no, they said the government, the state. They can. Somebody has to regulate the behavior of government. It's the legislature. And the three systems of checks and balances is the courts, which I don't want to talk about right now, but the executive branch. It's a system of checks and balances for our government, not for me and you. If I don't break the law, the government has no business whatsoever with me. None. Read the Constitution. Don't be ignorant like Thomas Jefferson said, and you'll find out that you will be free. But if you continue not to, then things will be different. All right, Article 7, the Sovereignty Clause. This is in the state of New Hampshire. I want to be specific about it, but I'm sure it's the same in other states. The Sovereignty Clause basically says the people of this state have the sole and exclusive right. Who are they talking about? The people of the state. The sovereign people of this state. It's written into Article 5. Article 7, I'm sorry, I apologize. Sometimes I do misspeak. The people of the state have the sole exclusive right of governing themselves, self-government, as a free, sovereign, and independent state. Okay? Where does the sovereign state get its sovereignty? From the people of this state. It's very clear. There's no ambiguity there. They get it from the people. Without the people, you got deers and squirrels running around. Who's going to give it to them? The people do. People make the law. As long as we stay ignorant and don't know that, we're not going to go anywhere. Article 8, if we could have that up, please, the accountability article. Article 8 says that all power resides in the people. Not some, not half, not a quarter. All power resides in the people. And all magistrates and officers are accountable to us at all times. Is that what's happening? So are these people violating the law? The answer to that question, both of them, is yes. If they're accountable to us, who's the boss, us or them? Well, you can answer that yourself. It's a rhetorical question, but okay. Anyway, I'm going to go right into, because I got Mr. Miller. Carl Miller is a guest on the show, and you're going to watch him for the next 6 or 7 minutes, and we'll go from there.
And how it works. You're going to understand that it's what you say it is. If you got an honest right, and I'll give you a perfect example. Now, the First Amendment basically talks about the right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right? But isn't the right to work part of right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? You got a right to work, right? Contract your labor, your skill, and your time of life as you see fit, right? Does that make sense to you? That's a First Amendment right. Another First Amendment right would be the right to travel freely unencumbered. See, no state can require you to have a license to travel freely unencumbered, and we'll go into that and show you how that is taken care of, okay? The bottom line is you need to learn as much as you absolutely possibly can in the shortest possible time about your Constitution, because I'm telling you right now as we speak, they are trying to curtail that Constitution and take away rights that you have that have been given to you from your forefathers. There's only one thing that's going to stop that. Well, maybe two. There's two things. The first thing that's going to stop that, if all of us get together, get a hold of one of these books and start shaking it and say, whoa, Horsey, we're not letting you take away that Constitution. This is America. We got an American flag on that pole out front. Last time I checked, this is the United States of America. We got a Constitution here, and you ain't touching that Constitution. So you call up that Bill McCullum in Washington, and you tell him he's the guy that sponsored that 666 bill to take away the Fourth Amendment right to have a search warrant. You get a hold of him, and I'll give you his number later on in the speech here. And you call that joker up and you say, sir, what is it you don't understand about your oath of office? We'd kind of like you to leave the Constitution alone. As a matter of fact, we'd like you to make it stronger than it is, not take nothing away from it. Period. And we resent the hell out of you taking an oath of office to protect the Constitution, and we put you in office, and the first thing you do when you get in there is try and scuttle the Constitution and flush it down the toilet. We're not going to put up with that stuff. We want you to understand that real clearly. The second way we can do it is, if necessary and proper, our militias can come together and decide to tell these people that are giving aid and comfort to the enemies of our country by breaking down our laws that you have broken the law of Title 18, United States Code, Section 2381, which says that in the presence of two witnesses to the same overt act or in an open court of law, if you fail to timely move to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and honor your oath of office, you are subject to the charge of capital felony treason, and upon conviction you will be taken by the posse to the nearest and busiest intersection and at high noon hung by the neck until dead. The body to remain in state until dusk, as an example to anyone who take their oath of office lightly. You see, without that oath of office, this Constitution is worthless. That's why we have you take that oath of office, so that we know you will honor this oath of office and that you will keep our Constitution. We don't want anybody taking our Constitution away, and we're here to tell you right now, don't do it. We'll take it in view. Now, let's go on. Let's hit the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States. What are they talking about here? The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. See, this is a limited contract. This contract is designed to limit government. And when you get into your police powers, you start understanding your police powers. Almost you'll hear this all the time. Well, we have police powers. Broad and sweeping police powers. You look up Black's Law Dictionary of Police Powers. It says, the law of eminent domain of a state or political subdivision to enact laws for the common good and welfare and to curb crime. And in great big black letters it says, within constitutional limitations. See the 10th Amendment. Well, when they're talking about see the 10th Amendment, this is the 10th Amendment they're talking about. Now, do they have powers to take away previous rights guaranteed under the Constitution? The answer is obviously no, they don't. Obviously, the 9th Amendment sets a clear limit on that. What is it these guys don't understand about their Constitution? They pass these Brady bills, they pass these crime bills, they pass these 666 bills to take away your Fourth Amendment right, requiring a search warrant. What is it that they don't understand about the locks on the Constitution? Now, do you see how wise our forefathers were? They knew history, and they knew that history repeats itself if people forget. So what they did is they set a standard, very importantly, toward the end of the contract that clearly stipulated exactly what limits would be there, you see. And it clearly stipulated that no power has existed to take away rights that were previously guaranteed. So how, therefore, is this being done? I'll tell you how it's being done, because they wants to. And they're not doing it by law. Now, why are they getting away with it? Because most of the people don't know any better. And if you don't know your rights and you don't timely assert them, laches and curs, laches being a species of action wherein a party of reasonable intelligence and integrity having a right to take an action as is prescribed by law, and having failed to timely do so, loses all right to proceed. So, by you acquiescing, by not jumping up and saying, hey, hold the line, Chester. You ain't touching that Fourth Amendment. You aren't touching that Second Amendment. We're not putting up with that stuff. You took an oath of office, we're going to hold you to it. You violate that oath of office, we're going to charge you with capital felony treason under Title 18 United States Code, Section 2381. What difference does it make if they're in open rebellion against the United States or if they're breaking down the laws creating a rebellion? Isn't that giving aid and comfort to the enemies of our country? It most certainly is. And it's called sedition. Treason by sedition. Division and classification of the powers of the coordinate branches of the government, and insofar as may not be clearly inconsistent with the Constitution, right? In other words, they can't be in conflict with the Constitution to vest extraordinary powers in the chief executive. But I'm telling you, on the other hand, a contention that a grave emergency, such as the Depression, should permit construction of the constitutional provisions which would meet the emergency was rejected. In one case, the court holding that neither the legislature nor any executive or judicial officer may disregard the provisions of the Constitution in cases of an emergency, where the plain and unequivocal terms of the Constitution present to question of construction as to departures in emergencies. So not even an emergency justifies the taking away of constitutional provisions. And I know you've heard differently. I know you think, well, they got...
All right, there's a clear point that I wanted to make there.
And how it works.
And that is that...
You're going to understand that it's what you say it is.
All 50 governors don't have the authority to take your job away. There is no provision under the law. I just read it, both in the state and federal constitutions with the aid of Carl Miller. They can't do what they're claiming that they're doing, and they're getting away with it. That's the problem. Now, if you have the right to work, it's a right to work. How can the government take that away from you? You created the Constitution. You created the government by adopting or ratifying the Constitution. So you created government, but now your public servants are your public masters. There's only one way to get this country back, and that is for the people to stand up peacefully and lawfully and demand their government back, which is common law. When you first ratified the Constitution in 1783, it was a common law document. Common law is the land jurisdiction. It's they talk about the law of the land. Well, it's the land jurisdiction. It's what me and you are entitled to. It says right in Article 4, which we don't have to put up, but it says we can enjoy every right, power, and jurisdiction. Well, we don't have that jurisdiction, and we're not enjoying it because the state's breaking the law. If that's okay with us, then they're going to continue to break the law and take over this country. Now, to prove what I'm saying, anyone walk into a government building, police station, fire station, school, anything, city hall, town hall, doesn't matter, state house, and look at the flag that's flying in those buildings. It's a red, white, and blue, okay, Old Glory, whatever you call it, but it has a gold fringe around it. That gold fringe signifies admiralty jurisdiction. You can check it out in United States Code Title 4. Don't believe me. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. Look it up. Admiralty jurisdiction is the law of the sea. And I don't believe, I'm sure there's some people might be listening who are in the Navy, but I'm not. When I walk into a courtroom, they don't have jurisdiction over me because I'm not, law of the sea doesn't apply to me. Law of the land does, but they've stolen that. The problem is, and here's the kicker, You walk into that courtroom, and you're an enemy combatant based on the Trading with the Enemies Act in 1933 that they passed. You don't know that because you haven't read it. But you are an enemy, a foreign enemy, walking into a foreign court. That's not one of your courts. It's been captured by the banks and the bar. And they are public enemy number 2 and 3, right behind ignorance. So when you walk into the court, the judge holds up a piece of paper and it's got your name on it. You can't see it, but they say, "Are you John Q. Citizen?" Or, "Are you the one named in this paper?" And you say, "Yep." Because you're trying to be courteous and nice, cooperative, whatever. Well, you're not the one on the paper because the name that's on the paper is written in all capital letters. It's a corporate fiction that was created for you when you were born. And I'm not going to get into it too deeply because it is extensive and it's complicated. But once you admit to being the person on that piece of paper, the corporate fiction, you just gave them jurisdiction over you. And that's why, because the courts today are banks. How much can I fine you? How much can I take from you? If I put you in jail, the jail gets paid amount of money. If it's a corporate jail, then you got the people making money off of that. Okay, you got stockholders with a corporate jail. So whoever says crime doesn't pay is full of it. All of these things that you have to worry about, or you should know, I suggest you study. And my final message is going to be this to people. To the police department. Because this is another fact. And I'm saying this without any support, but I know it to be true. If the police support the people who pay their salaries, okay, and support the police, there will be no problems in this country. There will be. The people that are trying this, the mayors and the governors, they're the ones stirring up the trouble, and they're doing it without any backing of the law. It's tyranny. It's all it is. It's plain, outright tyranny. And if the police refuse to enforce an unlawful order, nothing will happen. Nothing. There won't be any violence on the street. Like they're telling the police that, you got to train because there's going to be civil unrest. Well, the civil unrest is going to be brought about by these people, and the police have to know this. They're the ones that will be putting in harm's way. I just heard yesterday from my sister that a man tried to go into a store, and I'm not sure where it was. I don't think it was in New England anywhere, but tried to go into a store. The cop said, "No, you can't come in without a mask." The guy hopped in his car, took off, got 3 people at his house, or neighbors or whatever, came back to the store and shot the cop. Now, I'm not suggesting anything like that should be done, but if the police continue to enforce these stupid, unlawful orders that they're being given, they're the ones that are being put in harm's way, not the idiot that's giving you the order. I'm asking the police to please, for your own safety, for Christ's sake, please be careful. And the last message I have is that if this particular show is not shared, nobody's going to know what's going on, because the misinformation that's being out there is just that, misinformation. The information I just put in front of you on the show is the law. I didn't type it up. I didn't make it up. It's the law. Now, do you want to have rule of law in this country? Because if you do, you have to stand for it. But you have to know what it is first. And if you don't, keep playing the games you're doing. Keep voting in the people, the same people you always do. Okay? They're all related, one way or another. You'll find that out once you start looking into things. Anyway, hopefully you'll pass this along, because this is intended to wake people up. Thank you for watching. Please share, and God bless. Have a good one.